Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome back to the On the Mat Wrestling Show where Xenia did that, and we're going to preview NXT Battleground. Xenia, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Are you ready for Battleground? Let's be honest. There's Battleground at 8 o'clock, and there's AEW Double or Nothing, which we'll preview the next show here. Are you going to be watching, or are you going to have two TVs, Battleground and AEW? Which one?
I might try and simulcast, but I'm not gonna lie. I might be paying a little more attention to AEW because I have been paying a little more attention to AEW. So if I'm not familiar with some of the storylines in this show, I apologize. But I looked at the card and this looks like a very exciting card and some great wrestlers on it. So this is gonna be a great show as well.
All right, so a six-man tag, Hank, Tank, and Josh Briggs versus the Culling, Sean Spears. And it looks like this may be a pre-show match or anything like that, but I'm calling Hank, Tank, and Josh to win. What do you say?
Any team that Sean Spears is on, I'm on that team. Like even in spite of the whole AEW thing, which I don't know if there was conflict or anything like that, but clearly, he jumped ship, as people like to say it, and he got to keep his gimmick, which is amazing. But I've been following his career since like his early NXT days, and I really think there's something about this performer. I know a lot of people have very not controversial, contrarian opinions about him, but I think he's a great worker, and I've met him once, and he was really great the way he interacts with fans as well. So, and I did like his chairman gimmick in AEW a lot. So I think he reads really well as a heel, and I think him being this like natural babyface, his first run in WWE, and now him being so different is a testament to his character work. So I'm a big fan of his work. So I'm supporting him.
And of course, I have to say this: Sean Spears is also Canadian.
Canadian, yes.
Right?
See, I
So,
get it.
there you go. Since the president of province is a Canada here, right? So let's talk
And
about our
his
next.
wife is also iconic. So
Yes, she's very iconic, right? So,
yeah.
uh, and let's talk about the iconic for a second. Do you miss them?
Oh yes, 100%. What are you talking about? Like one of the best tag teams that WWE has ever had, I think. And there's a way to do comedy wrestling in a way where it's tasteful, and in a way where it doesn't disrespect the product, and in a way that's funny, but they can still go in the ring. And like, I'm not saying that either of them are Daniel Bryan in the ring, right? But you don't have to be sometimes. Sometimes, you do just enough that fits your character. And I was a big fan of the Iconics. And they have been kind of in and out of the independent wrestling scene. We saw a couple of reunions, but then they're both family women and they're both mummies now, and like they're, taking time to take care of their families, which is great for them. And hopefully, we'll see more reunions in the future.
All right, let's talk about a ladies' match: NXT Women's North American Championship, Sol Ruka versus Kiani Jordan.
I've been very impressed by Sol Ruka, honestly. She's extremely athletic, extremely innovative in the ring, which is an interesting combination because a lot of the time when you see an athlete transition to wrestling without any kind of wrestling background, you will see a lot of athleticism, you will see a lot of acrobatics, you will see a lot of physicality, but you wouldn't see as much creativity. And I'm not even necessarily talking psychology, which is something that every athlete who transitions to wrestling has to learn, and it is a curve, and sometimes it's a very visible curve that you can see as a fan on the screen. But I'm talking about modifying moves. I'm talking about coming up with offense that's believable while athletic. That's not just here's a flip and then I'm going to hit someone. Like it really makes sense in the realm of wrestling. So I don't know how much help she gets from the producers, which no shame in that either. But I think she's a really interesting performer, and I really like her.
All right, and this could be it is a grudge match, a singles match: Tony D'Angelo versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo. I could, you know what? I'm gonna go on a line and say everybody likes Tony D, but I
And I
think
do too.
they're going to, well, put him in the ground. Put it that way. I think there's
No.
going to be, yeah. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. What do you say?
You're going against the stream here. Like you said, everyone likes Tony D, and so do I. And I did see him live at the Performance Center a couple times, and I really like the charisma that he brings to the character. So I'm rooting for him in this one.
All right, let's get to the NXT Women's Championship match. This should be one of the better matches in the entire weekend. Stephanie Vancouver versus Jordynne Grace.
Oh, amazing. Just super looking forward to this one. Like when it comes to, watching two shows simultaneously, like this is definitely the one that will grip my attention from the other screen when I watch the two at the same time. And both these performers just vast backgrounds, but so different. Like Jordynne Grace is like the epitome of American professional wrestling. I feel like the shape that she's in and all the experiences she has. And then Stephanie almost brings a lucha vibe to it. And the way that she's so, and not in a bad way, but surprisingly well fits into the NXT landscape. I really didn't expect that to happen because we know that she had offers from both WWE and AEW. And a lot of people really expected her to pick AEW because AEW seems to be the company that embodies the different genres of wrestling, the spirit of fusion wrestling product, right? So I personally, again, I'll admit to that, didn't expect her to fit in NXT so well as she has. So these both women have been just an absolute pleasure to watch. I've been following Jordynne's career for many, many years at this point too. So it's just like you said, it's definitely going to be one of the better matches of the whole entire weekend on any show.
And let's hope they keep Jordynne. I think she's going to lose, but let's hope they keep her strong. Put it that way. She's definitely an asset for and again. And the ladies of NXT is probably the best roster of ladies in wrestling. Put it that way. And with I should ask you this. I forgot to ask you in the other show we did, but let's talk. Speaking about the ladies, Zoe Stark with that injury this weekend. This week, and she had injury, and she's gone up at least 9 to 12 months, they said. So, first of all, did you see the injury, and what did you think?
I did, yeah, very unfortunate, and it's just the testament to how you can't really pick and choose what wrestling you like based on how dangerous or not dangerous it is, because a lot of people like to, frown at deathmatch wrestling or hardcore wrestling because supposedly it's so too dangerous. But it really shows that sometimes you'll be doing the most basic move, which obviously missile dropkick is not super basic, but it's in the basic move set of a lot of wrestlers. And it can be just as detrimental to your health and as dangerous as something completely outlandish or something that looks completely outlandish. And we saw a bunch of injuries like this happen. People will get like career altering injuries catching a dive or doing, I don't know, again, drop kick. It's very sad to see that, and we're wishing her a speedy recovery. So hopefully she comes back and it doesn't affect her in the long run, because she's still young, she's still at her peak in a lot of senses. So hopefully she has this time to recover and come back better than ever.
I agree, and and in case she wants to stay in the wrestling realm, she's invited anytime here on on the Fired Up Network with me and Xenia talking wrestling, and we could talk about her time with Trish Stratus, like that. Come on, all right. So let's talk about. Well, I'm gonna talk about first the NXT Championship match. Obafemi, Miles Bourne. Come on. Like Obafemi against Miles Bourne. I know they're up and coming and everything like that, but are they really going to take the belt away from Obafemi, the next Brock Lesnar in the WWE?
No, Obafemi is great. I've also seen him live, and it's just sometimes a wrestler would be so athletic that you watch them live and your brain doesn't quite register. Like, how are they doing that? Like, at times it almost looks like they're like floating. It's crazy. So an incredible performer, super deserved to be champion. But Miles Bourne, is that the wrestler who's deaf? Is that
yes?
That guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is also freaking amazing to see. And also people probably underestimate how much of an obstacle it actually is, because when it comes to wrestling, and I don't know how much we're peeling the curtain here, but sometimes you have to call a spot, and sometimes you have to listen to the ref, and sometimes you have to listen to the crowd and make changes even in the booking of the match based on the reactions of the crowd. So for someone to be able to overcome that and to be as good as he is just admirable, just incredible. So regardless of whether he wins, which, like you said, it is unlikely that he will win this weekend, it's a great opportunity, and it's amazing to see him in the title match, and he 100% deserves it. He also looks like young Randy Orton.
I don't know about that, but first of all, Xenia, say my name.
Joseph?
Yeah, well, Joe Hendry defends the TNA.
Well, I screwed that bit up. Oh my god.
Yes, thank you. All right, Joe Hendry defends the TNA World Title up against Whoop That Trick. All right, so Xenia, I'm going to ask you, who's whooping each other? Is it Frick Williams going to get whooped, or Joe Hendry going to lose the TNA title on not a WWE TV show, on an NXT TV show? And could you see Trick Williams as the new TNA champion?
No way in hell, with all due respect to Trick Williams. Joe Hendry is a rising superstar. Like, he's a phenomenon.
And he did a great concert.
What?
He did concert. I know you
did. Yeah.
He did.
We should be grateful. Concert. He's showcasing his talent for all of us. But a lot of people will see this as like overnight success, or like just a song that caught on, or a trend that caught on. But really, what you don't see is he's been grinding. He's been chipping at it for over a decade. And this, like, the whole viral song thing is not the first attempt at the viral shtick. And he's just been steadily at it. And he's just such a great worker. And every time I've met him, he's just been so incredibly professional. And one thing that obviously we're all human, right? And obviously we're all going to have good days, bad days. But one thing that, to me personally, as someone who's worked in the industry for 7 years, and as someone who does social media specifically, for me, a marker of a very professional worker is the way that they snap into it the second the camera goes on. Like, they can be tired, they can be irritated, they can be, I don't know, they can have things go wrong for them during the day. But the second this camera turns on, they snap into it and they're their best self. And I just admire that so much about him. And Nick Nemeth is another person who's exactly like that. And to me, just a marker of a professional, with capital letter P. So I'm a big, big fan of Joe Hendry.
All right. So you're calling him to retain the TNA.
100%.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. WWE, NXT, TNA doing a partnership, or WWE doing partnership. Do you think WWE is getting more of the partnership, or is it TNA getting more of the partnership?
It's a trick question.
It's not a trick question, because I know what to say. I don't see anything from TNA getting. I think WWE is, the end all to be all. Like,
I think on the financial side of things, I think it's a mutually beneficial collaboration. But when it comes to the behemoth that WWE is, and it's almost a monopoly, and it used to be a monopoly up until very, very recently. Oh, my light just died. I don't know. I'll just change that and I'll continue.
Okay, you're watching the On the Mat Wrestling Show NXT Battleground preview with Xenia.
Oh no! Okay, never mind. I don't have a light. Anyways, okay, so when it comes to WWE being the behemoth that is, and having that monopoly in the market up until very recently, any partnership that they're going to enter is going to be ruled and dictated by them. Yeah. And it's only fair, and you can't complain about it because they have the bigger share of the market. And, ultimately, any promotion that they're in close collaboration with is going to become, in a way, in a sense, not in a bad way, they're developmental, they're subsidiary. Yeah. So inevitably that's going to happen. And inevitably, even on a personal level, wrestlers who are in that promotion, or in those promotions, or, TNA, AAA, or previously Evolve, or whatever it is, obviously they're going to want to be in the bigger thing. They're going to want to be on the bigger screen. So we're already seeing a bunch of people whose contracts are expiring jump in, go into WWE, Jordan Grace, and where there's talks about how Joe Hendry is headed to WWE as well, as properly contracted with WWE superstar, right? Yeah. And it's only natural. Like that, if you look at the business landscape, it's natural. You can't complain about it.
You know what's so funny, and we'll close it out, and then Xenia will be back doing what? Doing AEW preview. But you know what's so funny here? They talk about the WWE developmental system, but if you look at it, they brought back their own guys from AEW and everything, and they're taking
Yeah, but
guys.
if you look at it, it's not developing much. I'll just say
Exactly.
that.
That's my point. You're stealing my
Yeah,
point
and
because they
even if you look at what people are, trying to be mean, calling the developmental of the developmental being evolved, right? Uh, it doesn't. It's not really developing much either. Like there's some really really great wrestlers on Evolve, really great wrestlers. Sean Legacy, Jackson Drake, Jordan Oasis, just some incredible performers. Those people, but they have been incredible. Like it's not WWE to credit for that. And then there's some performers that WWE is developing through that system who are former athletes or former models or former performers of other types. And then those wrestlers are that, like you can tell. And yeah, it's definitely the word developmental at this point is not to be taken literally.
Yeah, exactly. And let's hope, because if you look at, okay, John Cena's retiring, but Randy Orton's up there mid-40s also. Even Roman Reigns turning around 40 years old. The Usos are closing in on 40 also. You need guys who, they gave the ball to Miles Bourne and everything like that, but you need the guys from 25 to 32, 34 and all
Yeah,
that. So, and they
100%.
got to.
And this has been a problem for WWE for many years at this point, for well over 5, 6, 7 years. And I was talking about it like 4 years ago on different appearances where we had a really bad NXT call-up streak during the Vince era still, where there were a bunch of, again, amazing wrestlers getting called up, like Aleister Black, like Ricochet, like the Viking Raiders, and they were just not being showcased in a good light. They were just not being given opportunities. So we came to a place where the last success, like truly successful NXT call-ups, were the people who are now in the main event scene, who have been in it for years. So Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Like, really, if you look at it, those are the last successful NXT call-ups. If I were to think of someone new that got brought into the main event or title scene that did come from the WWE developmental, I'm thinking Braun Breaker immediately, obviously.
Roxanne Perez.
Roxanne Perez, yes, for sure. So there have been a couple people, and they're now in NXT and Evolve. Like I said, there's some absolutely incredible performers, but what has happened since the rebrand of NXT is it's now again being marketed as the developmental. It's running smaller venues. It's giving showtime and in-ring time to people who are well green, who maybe shouldn't be on national television just yet. And then they mix up with people who do have this experience, so that subtracts from the product as well. And we've created this huge disconnect between NXT and the main brands. Like there's a whole freaking black hole between NXT and, say, WWE Raw. So, for example, if you grab even like the best performer in NXT right now, again, let's say freaking Obafemi, Trick Williams, like some of the best performers on NXT right now, if you plug them out of NXT and place them on Raw, it would not translate for crap right now, because the mainstream audience is not aware of that NXT.
Look at Carmelo Hayes.
He was a champion, and
now he's,
and now he's whatever he is, and because the mainstream audience doesn't get exposed to them. We came from a time where NXT Takeover was the show to be at Mania weekend. It used to be the biggest, the best wrestling Mania weekend, and it's not anymore. Now it's occupying very unfortunate slots of like 10, 11 a.m. on a Saturday, right? And I was going to say I don't know what happened, but I know what happened. NXT is not being given the grace it needs. And again, if you have the developmental for the developmental being evolved, that's where you put the green people, and then you grow and develop NXT. Instead, they're shrinking. And I'm in Orlando right now, and when it comes to tapings of those shows, for the fear of not drawing, because they're not doing enough to promote it, they're shrinking. The audience gets smaller, smaller, and smaller. And then when you get that small audience on the screen that is not as loud, that is not as rowdy, and also that is hyper local, and it goes to these shows every week, and they're kind of fed up with it. So whenever you get a close up of the audience, people are like this. That doesn't add to the product. And instead of doing proper show promotion making it a show. It's not a wrestling show right now. And this is not me being mean. This is me saying it out of love because, like I said, there's so many freaking amazing wrestlers in WWE developmental that I would freaking take a bullet for professionally. That oh my God, like these people have to be on TV. And it's just a slow death. And yeah.
Here's the other thing, okay? We talked about Battleground, and one of the matches is a TNA champion, maybe even the main event of Battleground. Like they got so many guys there and ladies, because the ladies are off the hook also, but they're not using them properly. It's nobody knows.
I mean, that match to me makes sense because they are trying to gradually introduce Joe Hendry to the WWE audience, and that is very fair. And that I think is a good call.
3 in NXT right now, and he's not even in NXT.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
So, all right, Xenia, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you, social media wise, and don't forget Battleground. NXT Battleground happens this Sunday, 8 p.m. Go ahead.
I'm Xenia did that on all socials, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, youtube.com/@Xenia did that. New interviews coming up soon. And the reason for that tirade is because I am a social media professional. So if you are a wrestler or promoter and you're looking to grow your audience, boost your ticket sales, and lift yourself or your promotion to superstardom, reach out to me, DM or email, or book a call with me. Follow the link in my bio, and let's do it.
All right. And Xenia will be back for AEW Double or Nothing preview. Thank you, Xenia.
Thank you for having me.